Story 1. Nobody really grows up the way you think you did. As a kid, you thought adults were so powerful, so mature, in control of their lives and knew stuff. Then you realize adults are more or less the same children with the same nonsense in an older body. It was the hardest realization when I was in my 20s and started playing soccer with a group of guys who ranged from 21 to 60. Week in and week out, there were married men with children in their 40s and 50s getting into fights over a pickup soccer game, screaming at each other over bad passes, over nonsense the same way kids do. They were literally full-on fist fighting at times. As I got older myself, I realized I was immature in many ways, but I was aging physically year by year. Time flies really quickly. Story 2, the pain. Drop a hammer on your foot. 6 weeks limping where before I would have worked a 12-hour shift and not worried. Fall over? Yeah, you will pull every muscle you have trying to get up. Story 3. How strange it is to feel 20 but have noticeable gray hair. I like my grays and I'm grateful to age. It just feels weird to see the signs of aging, have the memories and life experiences of someone in their 40s, but still feel like a kid in many ways. Story 4. The pure bliss of just no longer giving any cares about everything. No, I am not coming to your baby shower. No, I am not accepting anyone's invitation to go out on Friday. No, I am not working late on Tuesday because my boss needs a new update. No, I don't care if you know I think you're attractive. Story 5. How uneven it is, at least physically. By that, I mean I will be going along fine and then over a year or two I feel like I've aged 10 years. It's not a steady progression. This last year has been a tough one for me, but I had felt more or less the same for the decade before that. Story 6. That it happened this fast. I'm 39, and I have coworkers who have never heard of Blink-182 or Chris Farley. My brain fails to process it every single time. I am not old yet. Damn it. Story 7. Understanding that you better find a way to get used to it, getting older. More feeble, maybe regretful, stuck in a rut for security. Why am I even here? Really, no matter what your age is now, you are only headed in one direction and there is a stopping point. So, it all comes down to you on how you want to handle this situation. Find joy however you can. I think I can skip my next couple of therapy sessions now. Getting older is just as much psychological as it is physical. Story 8. How true this really is. When young, you care what people think about you. When midlife, you stop caring what people think about you. When old, you realize no one was actually thinking about you. Story 9. The loss of trust as you learn more about human nature. Having had so many years of opportunities to see people turn out to not be what they seemed, can make you begin to feel a little cynical. Story 10. The disrespect you suddenly receive from young people. It's like suddenly one day, I am deemed old. And as such, I am deemed boring, annoying, dumb. It was sudden. Now it doesn't bother me, but that first year or two, it stung. Story 11. Started thinning in my mid-20s, definitely what you would call bald in my early 40s, probably the best thing that ever happened to me self-image-wise. Seriously. Before, I used to spend ages trying to get my stupid curly hair not to look like stupid curly hair. Rain spelled disaster, etc. When I noticed the temples going, I felt depressed for a day, then got out the clippers and went #1 all over, have done ever since. Do not have to worry about something that is not there, a lot cheaper to maintain, happily married now, but when I was younger I got a lot more female attention with a buzz cut, even with an encroaching bald spot, than with half a salon on my head. It forced me to get comfortable in my own skin, fast, and I think that is a more obvious and appealing trait than having a nice haircut. There is some pride in accepting what you cannot change. 2. There are few sights more tragic than a comb-over. Story 12. My tolerance for noise. In my 20s, I had a Volkswagen Golf 4 with a JL audio sound system, 12-inch W0 subwoofer and a 2500-watt amplifier in the trunk. 6x9s all around. Had sound-deadening material taped into all the rattling bits. Clean, crisp, and loud as can be. It was my pride and joy, and I would often drive around at 2 a.m. with my drum and bass vibrating my windows. I loved it. I turned 40 this year, and I have absolutely zero tolerance for loud anything. I'll listen to podcasts now. I like going surfing. At the back of the waves, I can only hear the sound of the ocean and wind. I can't hear the cars or loud people in restaurants. I have to constantly remind my kids to dial it down a notch, and I have a whole bag of earplugs for anything from mowing the lawn to going to sleep. Knowing how much I used to love live bands and my car audio system, I'm actually sad I hate noise now. Story 13. I stopped in front of the mirror one morning and took a good hard look at myself. I didn't recognize my reflection and pondered what happened to me. Gave myself a tap on the shoulder and wished myself good luck. Story 14. Two things. 1. Nobody has the faintest idea what they are doing, not entirely. Everything starts to hurt the minute you turn 40, and that is not an exaggeration. Story 15. That anxiety is high because tragedy is imminent. The more you do and see, you realize it is just a matter of time before something turns your world upside down in some way. You really do need to enjoy the little moments while they are yours. Story 16. I've become quite cranky. I keep it inside because I do not want to hurt people, but man, the things I think. I hate most people, animals, bicycles, trees. It is just not like me, except that it is. It is a new me and I hate it. Story 17. I think about this a lot because I have changed so much between 45 and 51. The physiological changes came on like a freight train. 1. Reading vision reduction, balance and coordination issues, reduced endurance and increased fatigue, sudden need for 2 prescription drugs, blood pressure and cholesterol. But that's just normal nonsense. Far more interesting are the positive mental and emotional changes. I have become so thankful every day. I take nothing for granted. I now hate loud noises and crowds, so I get to avoid these and stay at home. I value my time so much that I will simply not do anything which isn't at least B+ cool. In my 20s and 30s, I do literally anything with anyone and waste my time with weak activities. I don't worry at all about what people think of me. If they think I'm odd or dorky, I don't give a fig. I have moved on from old friends and family members who just do nothing for me. I have gained so much wisdom from experience. Something that would worry or befuddle me 10 years ago is now a simple calculated decision. I was talking to my neighbor about aging yesterday. His sons are about 26 and 24. They are dealing with job changes, apartment moves, and all sorts of challenges. I told him that where we are now, I'm almost 52 and he's 55, is way better, and he agreed. We are settled, confident, established, and secure. Story 18. Naturally outgrowing partying, feeling bored by the frivolity of my 20s, and feeling strangely ready for the next steps in life, such as career, kids, and house. I used to cringe thinking about settling down. Story 19. That drama never stops, no matter what age or stage in life you are. I always thought when I was younger that all the petty drama between friends and so on would stop, but it seems to continue even when you're older. I genuinely have one friend due to cutting the rest out because of the drama they would cause. Story 20. How much easier it is to keep up with things. I never feel behind the times. When I was a kid, my parents and older relatives were not always up on the latest trends. My dad kind of was because he was into music and listened to the radio all day at work. My mom was and remains open-minded about things. She always said she never wanted to listen to the radio on the way home because she was around noise all day. She never dismissed something because it was new. She might not have always liked the song I played for her, but she never closed her ears to it or told me outright that it was terrible. Since she retired years ago, she's had more time to keep up with things and is now often the one to ask if I've seen, heard, or read about something. It can be anything from silly celebrity gossip to an article she read that morning. There's always something to talk about. The generation gap often felt wider. It doesn't so much to me now. We don't share exactly the same interests, but I'm not lost either. I usually have a general idea of what, for instance, my niece and nephew are talking about. I don't feel left behind by technology either. It's nice to not feel stuck in that way. Story 21. The terrible adults I watched while growing up remained the same. The good ones never changed. They remained the same. They are just better at hiding their childishness, and the same for their vileness. Story 22. This is not a cry for help or anything, so please don't report me. The older I get, the more I realize how completely useless and disposable I am. I could die today, like right now, and it quite literally would not matter. My apartment would be cleared out by some hired help, and a new lease would be signed. Someone would take over my job and the hours I work. My phone number will be recycled and given to someone else. All my property will be scattered at a dump site, a Goodwill store, or in the hands of other people to reuse. I don't plan on doing anything to myself, but I'm just saying. Story 23. Seeing how terrible people can really be. I always tried to see the best in people, but as I have gotten older, I have seen more and more people who are just straight up evil. Story 24. I'm 50. I'm frequently startled at how immature other people are who are approximately my age, as if in their 30s they got their act together and are now, for some reason, regressing to antics that would embarrass a teenager. Story 25. How much better mentally I feel now. The pressures I experienced as a young person from society on so many levels, body image, motherhood, career, marriage, cultural expectations, don't bother me anymore. The fact that I can focus on myself without all of the outside noise has been remarkable. Story 26. That I feel physically fine. I haven't experienced the whole everything hurts and my body is falling apart thing. I expected to, but I haven't. I'm not remotely a gym rat or super healthy eater or anything like that. I just haven't felt any kind of significant deterioration like I thought I would. Story 27. All the stuff you saw happening to old people is happening to you, and if you don't fight like hell, it will happen faster. It's not just that it happens to you, but it's also happening to your people. Story 28. What's important has changed. Peace and quiet matter. No drama, no chaos, and no complaining. Finding joy in the small moments. A child's smile, a bird making a nest, squirrels burying nuts, spider webs, and drifting clouds. Books versus news, sandwiches versus cooking, and finding new ways to learn about myself and others. Finding more compassion, understanding, and patience. Being less inclined to argue. Making time for myself. Asking questions instead of assuming. Being curious about the small things. Refusing to judge and refusing to hold people in contempt, yet holding them accountable and letting them go. Being the person I always wanted to be, finding out I'm not always right, and that's a good thing. Story 29. Sounds weird, but the fact is that new generations keep coming in after you. At a certain point, you end up at a bar with people who were born a decade after you, and you think, where did these people come from? You keep getting older, but new generations keep filling in those places. At a certain point, you don't feel like going to the same bar anymore because it's filled with youngsters, even though it used to be your favorite. Story 30. Non-serious answer. A lot more people have done cocaine than you think, even people you personally know. Serious answer. Don't count on people you call your friends. They may be your friends, but you're not theirs. Explanation. So I'm a new mom. All the friends I used to have had kids from 16 to 21, with the exception of my old college friends. I was the only friend who didn't have children at one point when it came to outside of school. Regardless, I attended every kid's birthday party, babysat frequently, hung out with them and their kids, went to family gatherings with all my friends and their kids, etc. You get the gist. My main focus here is being a part of a trio of two married moms, me being the childless one. So when I got pregnant after I got married, I was really excited. When I first found out, I called all my friends individually, and they were so excited for me. This was the closing of a book, little did I know, rather than a new chapter. Imagine my surprise when my two main best friends only hung out with me twice during my first trimester. This was within the first full month I was pregnant, too. Then they promptly ghosted me. One of them got divorced, she's 23, and had a celebration for it. She and the other friend got a hotel room and partied. We had a 3-person group chat, me and them. I was shocked when one of them texted, "I'm so excited for tonight," and sent pictures of alcohol and a screenshot of the booking. Man, that gutted me. I get that they didn't want me to be left out of drinking due to my pregnancy, but I could have had just as much fun sober. I mean, these were the girls that invited me to parties with them, being the designated driver when I was in college while they were pregnant. They continued to hang out without me after that, even when they didn't drink. So I overlooked it, keeping my distance out of a grudge, but they abruptly stopped talking to me on top of it. No reaching out, no asking how it's going, nothing. I was diagnosed with preeclampsia as early as you can be diagnosed and was admitted to the hospital for a night. Did they check on me? No. I even reluctantly invited them to the baby shower, and they did show up to that and brought gifts. But after that, it was radio silence once again. When I had the baby, I posted about it on Facebook, and they both commented their congratulations on it. But here's the thing, they showed absolutely no interest in meeting her. Nor did they ask me how I was doing, even though postpartum is a nightmare, if you're a mom, you know. I was going through a lot and subtly cried for help on Facebook through depressing posts. But yet again, I was left in the dark. I needed my friends. I needed friends in general. The duo ended up having a big split. A decade-long friendship. Over. I'll talk to them on their comments sometimes, but that's it, really. I used to have so many friends, I couldn't tell you the amount. When I got married and had a baby, they left me in the dust. I don't know if it was the marriage that threw them off or the pregnancy, but I just didn't fit their standards anymore. I'm in a really great marriage as well. I only have 2 really good friends now. Love them to death, but those friendships aren't nearly as close as the trio was. I could have reached out more, but I was so anxious and depressed during pregnancy, and the group chat thing just really threw me off.